The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman.
Users bashing black women, and they talk about how black women are overweight, black women are they don't know how to be submissive in relationships, and they want to wear the pants in a relationship. They say how black women run black men away, black women bring a lot of things on themselves and don't want to take accountability.
The Black YouTube Gender War, according to Wacky World TV, began in 2008. The term gender war is a phrase used in American popular culture and it largely consists of men and women making valid and inaccurate assessments against one another regarding gender relations. YouTube certainly wasn't the beginning of this exchange, but it was a new medium that had fewer restrictions than publications, daytime television, and radio shows. YouTube had only existed for 3 years and most content creators had not yet realized its propitious power and influence. The gender war began inadvertently on a channel called Girl Talk TV, where YouTuber Temple Christians gave women dating advice from a male perspective. In response to a subscriber's question, he published a video about why black men dated interracially, which he attributed to black women's attitudes.
You are sexy.
Embrace me.
I don't like your
now.
attitude.
Sotomayor used to push this heavily, and he was a golden boy of the manosphere. Mainly because Tommy would get black women to call into his show just to verbally abuse them for his audience. He would yell and scream over any person who tried to respond as well. Because bashing black women was incredibly popular in the early 2010s, and it was a money grab for a lot of people, Phil the Advice Show constantly used to make videos on black women too. They were news stories though. He kind of synced his way into the Pan-Africanist thing. Tariq did too, until he started grifting off the ADOS movement started by Yvette Carnell and Anthony Moore. A lot of these manosphere guys left and hid behind a veneer of pro-blackness and quote caring about their people. Just for the record, Tommy Sotomayor has never claimed to be affiliated with the manosphere or even this early iteration of the space, despite some claiming him to be, but he did pioneer making profitable content of attacking black women and is held with high regard within the contemporary black manosphere. This early iteration of the manosphere oversaw the tragic murder of Agent McGowan by Anthony Powell, who had listened to Sergeant Willie Pete. If you listen to Powell's video, he sounds eerily familiar to content creators today in his diatribes about black women.
I've already been persecuting black men for the shit that they're doing. But I don't blame them, I blame you. You want to know why? Because you choose. You make the choice. You choose these type of men. You're attracted to these type of men. You're attracted to these no good motherfuckers that ain't gonna do shit for your ass because you want some kind of a fucking challenge. You want some kind of a soap opera lifestyle.
We sit down and say, when you get on one, and after we go through the process, and I use the safe word, banana split, and you still stay on one after I say banana split. You heard me say banana split. I acknowledge you heard me say banana split, and you stay on one. Well, then it's time for the domestic discipline, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Lay across the knee and on her ass. Thank you. I am not kidding. I am not kidding. And what I would do is I lay down, get the paddle out. All right now, Courtney, you know, banana split. And you
the space truly committed to the betterment of black men, or is it just an effort to capitalize off black trauma?
Which I don't like little black boys. I don't. Go sit down.
Yeah, I can't sit. Yeah.
Don't be hugging me around my waist and shit, because when you grow up, you ain't gonna like me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Not only because I'm a black woman, because the shit I'm saying.
The little nigger boys always get...
Girl, you ain't in Discord? Ooh!
You say what?
I said you ain't in Discord. The hard R is on the other side.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Who was that? Oh, sorry. Oh, no, excuse me. I mean, African American males. African American males.
Stop it. I'm going to present an answer to a quandary that seems to have Black women stumped. As I watch in awe as Black women go at each other in desperate search for answers to the challenges of Black motherhood, mate selection, Black fatherlessness, a 70% out-of-wedlock birth rate, and the burden of being held responsible for it all, I'm called to wonder how come so few Black women have considered the obvious. Rather than sit and argue over finding solutions, in quotes, for what ails us in our communities, how come so few Black women have simply said, enough is enough? Why is it that the answer that is sitting right in front of our faces yet receives almost no consideration from the average Black woman? Well, since common sense ain't common and most Black women seem to have suspended all rational thinking when it comes to certain topics, I'm going to spell out the solutions I believe will help Black women, and no, it won't take another 200 years to do it. Just stop it. Stop what, you ask? First, stop dealing with Black males at all. I mean, at all. No sex, no dating, no romance, nothing. Stop doing hard target searches to find the good Black man, in quotes. Do what Black men keep telling you to do and stop choosing wrong, in quotes, and start not choosing at all, in quotes. Raise your sons, if you have any, but discontinue all romantic aspirations with Black males altogether. Do not vet them with 90-day rules. Do not audition to be a wife for them. Do not cook, clean, or support, in quotes, them in any way. Stop fucking them and entertaining their advances. Do not engage them in any romantic or sexual manner at all. Just stop it. That way, you don't ever have to worry about choosing the wrong one, and you can finally give these dudes what they want. See, Black men want to put all of the responsibility on you. So listen to them and start being responsible. Simply eliminate them from your dating and mating pool and cure all that ails you in one fell swoop. You can't choose wrong from a dating pool you never choose from. Stop it. Second, stop birthing Black males. I mean, at all. No Black male babies. Stop believing that your womb will produce a different kind of Black man than the majority out there. Stop pouring your love, your time, your energy, sacrificing your personal dreams and goals for them. Stop allowing them entry into this plane of existence at all. Make sex-selective abortion standard operating procedure. It can be done. Girl children have been aborted and killed for thousands of years and continue to this day. Stop having Black male children and stop reproducing his image. Stop allowing him to use your body as the vessel through which he gets here. And stop letting him dishonor that gift by then turning around and blaming you for what's wrong with the world. Simply stop birthing him. And that way, you cannot be blamed for how you raise him, who you chose to father him, and how the Black community and race turns out as a result. He thinks that he is the prize, that he is the God of the Black community, the first cause. Show them who their true God is. Deny them access to your room and access to this earthly plane, and in 5 years, you'll see a completely different black man and a completely different race, black race. See the movie Children of Men to understand. And ladies, we did a study of Children of Men. Very powerful testimony to what I'm talking about in this post, in this think piece, meaning getting you to think. When the women no longer reproduce you, you become an entirely different creature. Boy, your ass gets humbled real quick, don't you? Show them the power you have, and they will be humbled in your presence. Force them to respect you, and all the other mess they talk will dissipate instantly. Stop it. Lastly, stop supporting black males. I mean, at all. Stop rallying and protesting, defending and bailing them out. Your brother goes to jail? Bon voyage, nigga. Your son acts a fool? Chuck up the deuces. Your deadbeat father wants to reconcile? Ignore his calls. Your community organizers and politicians want your vote? Stay your ass at home. Those entertainers want your money? Keep it in your pocket. Those athletes want your support? Turn the channel and watch rugby instead. Withdraw your support from any and all black males aside from your underaged sons. And even when they reach adulthood, withdraw support. Remove any and all concern for the safety and welfare of the black male, and see how quickly they collectively fail without you. They have been convinced that you're such a horrible group of women. They have you convinced that you are such a horrible group of women, and that it's all your fault that they are in the condition they're in. Well, show them what's waiting for them when you remove yourself as a motherfucking factor. And to help expedite the cleaning up of the black community, support any and all laws that allow them to be locked up. Invest in private prison system and a prison industrial complex. Vote for stiffer laws and longer jail sentences for their offenses. Help rid your communities of them and their criminality and their hatred of you. Hasten this process and you will see in a very short period of time who they are, who they really are, and who you really are. Stop it.
Mike Tyson mentioned a mentality that was accompanying his children's mentality. And he stated in there that his son specifically didn't like black women. He also mentioned that his daughter is more interested in white men. And because of that, he believes that he didn't set a good example as a black man. And now,
I have been so abused by this community. I was so distraught. I went into my car and started the engine with all the doors closed.
This woman is throwing her mother under the bus in order to absolve her absentee father in order to absolve him from responsibility for leaving her, she's throwing her mother under the bus and saying, look, as my mother, you are worse than my absentee father because you wanted to abort me and he wanted you to keep me. He may have wanted her to keep you, but he still abandoned you. So he clearly didn't want you. If he wanted you, he would have stayed and been your father. But instead, he wanted to leave you. And she's sitting here saying, so who's really better? Is her father better for abandoning her, but telling her mother not to get an abortion? And her mother was probably going to get an abortion because she knew that this black man was about to leave her a single mother, and he did.
Right, or she may have realized that, the pathology of her father, and sometimes, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but sometimes abortion may be the most merciful thing you can do.
Is the number of wounded black women who are saying, I am making excuses for black men. And I'm like, wow. That I'm not holding black men to account because I'm not yelling at them, because I'm not cutting them down. And I know this should not hurt my feelings, but it does. Virtual summit, men and women are invited. I have this wonderful guy, his name is Dr. Rick Wallace, and he is so good. And we have comedians, we have panels, and I put my life's blood into this. I put everything into this. And my feelings are hurt that doesn't count. Like, I shouldn't be attacked for loving black men. I can expect white people. I really can. I really expect white people to do shit. I expect white people to do white people stuff. But it hurts my feelings when black women do that. And I'm like, what did I do wrong that you would do that? I don't know how to make that make sense.
Or a group that you feel just isn't doing enough, or that you feel is coddling. I listen, and we can agree to disagree on this, because a group that is coddling, I'm sorry, Crystalline, I let you speak for so long. If you could allow me to just really make my point, that would be great.
I'm sorry.
Right? Okay. We have now, I know that there was a switching of the parties, right? So rather than saying Republican or Democrat, I'm glad that you're talking about the conservative and the liberal point of view. Now, part of the reason that Black people don't have as much agency as they did have, and why they are not as industrious, to use the word that you used, is because of integration. When integration happened, right? When we were able to go to white businesses, when they were like, where the white women at? Black men were like, where the white women at? Mm-hmm. Black people were like, oh, this business is better because it's white. So I'm not sure how that becomes the fault of the liberals. Now, may a thing be too liberal? I think that if we're going to talk about who has done more harm, I would much rather the society where people are treated with kid gloves than the society where they're punched with brass knuckles.
I understand your point, but I have to also counterpoint.
Okay, counterpoint.
You said that which society is better, being lynched and hung from trees? Well, I have to ask you, which society is better when 60% of Black women are reported as being sexually abused before the age of 18, when Black women have the highest statistics of domestic violence rates and partner murders within the Black community.
This is a straw man argument.
wait, hold on a second.
I'm not interrupting you. I just wanted to just make the statement while you were speaking that that's a straw man argument so that we could be able to punctuate it at that point. So go ahead.
The best way for you to psychologically torture a narcissist, to cause them distress, is to heal, is for you to heal. So you came here presumably because you were angry and because you wanted to take revenge. You wanted to torture somebody. Okay, that's fine, I understand. I've been there, we've all been there. But just getting locked into a cycle of vengeance with somebody who's really spent their whole lives since infancy with this PTSD formation, reaction formation, defensive personality, interaction style of being predatory, of being manipulative, of being reaction seeking, the chances are high that if you just try and engage that superiorly qualified, superiorly trained enemy in all-out battle, that you'll simply lose. You're just going to lose. So I don't recommend it from that point of view. The second point of view is really what you need as a human being, though you're angry, though you're hurt right now, is you need to heal. What's the secondary advantage of healing? Well, actually, this is going to cause more distress to the narcissist and is going to keep your karma clean at the same time. Is it important to keep your karma clean? Yes, I believe that it is important to keep your karma as squeaky clean as you possibly can. So if you really want to live a good life, if you want to move on, you want to move past whatever has been done or been said, then heal. Why would that cause distress? Okay, so you're not now looking to cause distress. You're just looking to heal and get on with your life and keep your karma clean. But the secondary benefit is that that does actually cause distress to somebody who's looking to emotionally and psychologically exploit you and coerce you. Why? Because when we heal, we move away from their sphere of influence. The narcissistic psychopath is all about their control over you. And when they lose control over you, they experience massive amounts of anxiety. So if you escape this sphere of influence, this is you running to freedom, there you are, running away and escaping. Let's just make this PG friendly. You're escaping. When that happens, you doing that causes massive amounts of anxiety. In the literature, in psychology, this anxiety has a particular name, and its name is abandonment anxiety. Abandonment anxiety. All of the literature that's recently been produced in the last 10, 12 years indicates that narcissism as a system of interactions with a target or series of targets is actually functioning on a desire to control the sense of self. The narcissist has an extremely wounded, extremely damaged sense of self, and their emotions go up and down. They're very emotionally dysregulated. They have very poor ego boundaries. You'd think of them as being hugely egotistical or of having a big, strong ego. They don't. The ego is weak, it's frail, it's fragile, and they need to be on top of you or on top of the next person in order to feel in control. It's massively a personality disorder that's concerned with regulating feelings of self-esteem, feelings of self-worth, and they're really trying to avoid abandonment anxiety. Somebody in their childhood abandoned them, and they're now terrified that you will do the same thing. They thought, and they may have been correct, because in many cases it does work out this way, that if their crushing sphere of influence is strong enough, you won't run away. You'll remain trapped inside of the sphere of influence until eventually your will to survive simply dies off and you give up. You get stuck inside of their narcissistic shell, their fake reality with them, and without the air and the oxygen of feedback from other humans in the outside world, outside of the narcissistic cult, your soul, your spirit, your essence dies and you give up. And you can see this. Many people have died. You're here because you're either fighting to escape or you have escaped and now you're in an awful lot of pain, because having lived inside of the narcissistic sphere of influence, normal reality is going to feel very strange and very uncomfortable for you, depending on how long you're in it for. When you do escape, and you can only escape through authentically and genuinely healing, you will create massive amounts of abandonment anxiety in them, which is extremely distressing, which actually does function as a kind of torture for them. How should you seek to heal in this situation? If you want to inflict the maximum amount of torture, but keep your karma clean, all you're going to do is say, I just have the intent to heal. Nobody can accuse you of wrongdoing for simply stating your God-given right to heal and to want to move forward. So if your intent is simply to heal, your karma will always be clean. You just say, look, I just want to move in the direction of healing. I just want my ego boundaries to be whole, not broken up, not poisoned, not crushed under the evil influence of somebody with a personality disorder who thrives off the pain and suffering of others. There's a little horn, another little horn. I am not a professional illustrator. That may surprise you to know. So if you're crushed under their influence, that's bad. Of course that's bad. Who would deny you the right to be a healed, sovereign, separate, whole individual? Nobody. So your karma is clean when you seek to heal. But when you seek to heal in a way that kind of mirrors a process that we go through as children, because what the narcissist does is they parent themselves and they child you. They put themselves in the parent role, the God role, and you in the role of supplicant. They're the ones running their cult and you are the cult follower. You try and wiggle out of that role, of your role in the movie, and you know what happens? You get tortured. You're the one who's going to be experiencing the emotional distress. So they're now in parent, which puts you automatically in child, unless you know how to fight it. So then in a sort of a strange way, you've attached to them, but you've not attached horizontally as to adults, if we're going to use the transactional analysis model, you're not two adults. You're attached, not horizontally, but vertically. Because to the narcissist, this is what equal looks like. Ego to ego. This is equal to a narcissist. I am above you. You are below me. It's always vertical. And if you ever try and horizontalize or democratize your communication or the power dynamic, they'll torture you. They'll punish you. They'll come after you, and they'll be sadistic and they'll be brutal in the way that they do that, just to get you back to your role, your original role, which is submission. So they're like, hey, you're getting confused, little slave. I may have to make an example of you here and give you a bit of a beating, which is what they do. So this to them is equal. Obviously, this is not equal. There shouldn't be, in a relationship, you don't want to have this kind of a dynamic going on because it's really not very healthy. You want it to be like this. So that's your intent. You are looking for something egalitarian, adult to adult. Now, what they forced you to do is to connect with them as a parent, which would be weird, but that's what's happened. And they've also forced you to connect with them confusingly and simultaneously as a child. So you, if you really have been in a relationship with somebody who really is NPD, they're not just annoying or arrogant and you just say, oh, that person's a narcissist, but they're not really. We're talking about clinical narcissistic personality disorder. You will be forced to simultaneously attach to them. Never equal. They don't do equal. They hate equal. Equal is not on the table. They are either your parent and you're allowed to attach them as a child, or you're pushed into the role of mummy or daddy whilst they're the child. So you're either supplicating to them, submitting to their authority, or you're wiping their bottom. There is no in between. Or you're feeding them, you're taking care of them, you're offering them money, you're offering them time, you're offering them whatever it is. But it's never adult to adult. They loathe that, they're terrified of that, and there's no interest in it. Which is why, for us as codependents, for the fawn type responder, for the target of narcissistic relationship, when we come to them and go, hey, why don't we talk? Let's talk about how you feel. Let's talk about how I feel. Let's have a one-to-one and figure this out. It never works. They'll either laugh at you and exploit you for your sincerity, or they will fly into a narcissistic rage and they'll punish you. So you're forced to attach to them in this weird way. You'll have two attachments at least. One is to them as child and the other is to them as parent. You consented to neither. You're forced into it. They'll pretend that they're doing this whilst forcing you covertly into this attachment. Then they'll show up, even more confusingly, as both. So they'll show up both as parent and child. That will confuse you. If it's true NPD, this is what happens. And they'll show up as angel and demon. They will force you to be trapped between two towers, two pillars, two polarities that contradict each other, and you will be trapped in a prison. Here's the arm, and this is the chain to the wrist, and they'll put you here, and you're trapped like this. So you're never allowed to go to one polarity. You'll never just have them as parent, because you would handle that. No, it needs to shift between parent, child, parent, child, parent, child. You'll never just have them as angel. There'll be angel, demon, angel, demon. What do I mean by angel and demon? Sometimes they'll show up as your savior, as Christ embodied, the kindest, most compassionate, most empathic, most spiritually aligned human being, egoless, heart is pure, free from desire, free from attachment, so on and so on. And then they'll show up as lustful, corrupted, addicted, materialistic, demonic types, and they'll push you through the cycle of spinning through two different modalities to keep you confused. So back to the healing part, we have to detach as though we were a child detaching from a relationship with an abusive parent, and this in the literature is called something I'll show you right now. Let the healing commence. When you're attached to your parent, you're not a separate individual. You are in the attachment. You're bonded to them. Then you're supposed to grow up and you're supposed to individualize. How does this relate back to this concept of torture of the narc, of the narcon, the dark lord, the dark queen in your life? How is this torturing them? Because when you individualize, you heal, which means they no longer have targets to attack. You individualize, which means that you reclaim your agency and sovereignty, in which case you no longer need them, you're no longer leaning on them, you're no longer addicted to them, because right now, if you're in a relationship with an MPD, they've bonded you to them. So you're addicted to their presence, you're addicted to their input. Even, yea, verily, even unto their abuse, you're addicted to that. So if you've individualized and you are regaining your agency and sovereignty, creates torture because it creates terror. This makes them feel like they're losing that sphere of influence over you. If they lose this, you've proven to them that they're not as powerful as their narcissistic wank fantasy of themselves that they have. You're proving that it's false. You are proving that their sense of self is false, is make-believe, is an infantile fantasy. That's a reality that they are working hard to escape. So when you heal and you individualize, reclaim your agency and sovereignty, you're bringing them back to reality that they fought their whole lives to escape. You're damn right this tortures them. You're damn right this terrorizes them, because you're pushing their face back to that, the worst thing that they could possibly imagine. You remember 1984, Room 101? Room 101 for a narcissist. Room 101 in 1984 is part of the torture process to break a person. In Room 101, you face your worst fear. What's in Room 101 for the narcissist? What is in Room 101 for the narcissist? I can share this with you right now. The worst fear for the narcissist, what's in Room 101? She or he thinks that they are like God. She thinks she's a goddess. He thinks that he's a god. All powerful, all knowing, all beautiful, all strong, all whatever it is, whatever that fantasy, that narcissistic wank fantasy they've got. And in Room 101 for them, you simply delete that. You say, you can't be a god. You can't be a goddess. Why? Because I escaped your sphere of influence. I escaped your sphere of influence. So I've proven, proof positive, that you are not a god. You're not a goddess. You're just a person, and really not a particularly interesting one. That will cause more abandonment terror and more distress than you could possibly imagine, whilst keeping your karma completely squeaky clean.
Matter of fact, the best testimonials come from people who have been through it. What are you talking about? I'm like, what do you mean? I have great stories on how to help people because of the things I've been through, because of how I've been, because of how people have been with me. So I have no, if anything, I actually take pride in that, because my pain is going to be the product of my blossoming.